Lorna Radford is a cosmetic scientist, the owner and founder of Enkos, which is a company that does consultancies to formulate unique products for beauty and personal care. That's correct?
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure. In this case, I would like to speak to you about paraben, silicone, and petrolatum. I personally have a good experience with these very toxic and scary chemicals, so I would like to know what your opinion is on that. Let's start with paraben.
Parabens are a really good category of preservatives. They work really well, and actually they're some of the oldest preservatives we've used for years and years, which means we've actually got a lot of research on them showing they're safe. And I know people are really scared of parabens, but unfortunately a lot of that scare is based on a study done about 15 years ago that has been scientifically discredited. So I think people latched onto it at the time not realising what the implications of it were. And suddenly it was all through the media, everyone was suddenly saying paraben free without actually realising that parabens are some of the safest preservatives we have and can use. Because so many people are scared of parabens, both the EU experts and US experts have done really large, wide-scale safety reviews. They've looked at all of the research, all of the literature on parabens, and both have independently concluded that they're safe. Like with any ingredient, dosage is really important. So when we talk about toxicity, it's all to do with dosage. And one example I've taken from a friend of mine actually is if you take apple pips, for example, they contain a compound called amygdalin, which can form cyanide when you eat it.
Oh, okay.
People know cyanide isn't a good thing. If you were to eat the core of one apple, most people have done it, it's not a problem. If you were to eat handfuls and handfuls of apple pips, you'd get seriously ill because of the cyanide.
It's super bitter.
Yeah, and so that's kind of an example of the same thing with parabens. When we're working with pure parabens in the lab, we're wearing lab coats, we're wearing gloves, we don't want to get pure parabens on our skin. But the European cosmetic regulations say you can't use more than X percent. So, for example, you can't use more than 0.4% in a product. And so we're talking about a tiny, tiny dosage that is enough to preserve your product, but still completely safe for use.
Okay. And the second one is silicone. I've always been told the silicone is stop the skin and the hair from breathing. It creates this kind of clean film effect.
Silicones are actually used in contact lenses because they're so breathable. They allow our eyes to breathe. So it's quite interesting that there's this negative perception that they're actually completely clogging up the skin and hair. The worry about silicones on hair is also that it persists, it doesn't wash away and then you get build-up over time. But if that's the case, you can just use a clarifying shampoo or something to remove it if you do feel like it's building up. And actually, as you say, it forms this nice coating, it makes your hair feel smooth, it makes everything feel
shiny.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think most of the well-known brands have a base of silicone, and this is the reason why people like them, because it's an instant lift. Petrolatum.
Yes.
When my son was a few months old, he developed cradle cap. And as you can imagine, this cradle cap was a big problem for me, so my friends and everybody was telling me to use natural oil. So I went to the dermatologist and he told me to bath him on liquid paraffin and put petrolatum into his scalp to clear it. Of course, I was a little bit desperate and did it. 3 days later, everything was perfectly fine. We bathed Benjamin at least once a week in liquid paraffin, just to make sure the skin was perfect.
Quite a greasy bath, but if
very
it works,
greasy,
then
very
that's
greasy.
Great. You mentioned about using different organic oils and natural oils, and I think different things work for different people. So I know I've heard stories of natural oils actually helping in some cases, but with natural oils, and particularly with essential oils, so fragrances like tea tree, eucalyptus, they actually have allergens in them that when we're developing products, we have to declare those allergens on the back of the ingredients list because they're they're known to potentially cause sensitization.
Okay.
Whereas with petrolatum and liquid paraffin, they're completely inert and won't react with anything, and generally don't cause any allergies. I'm a believer in taking the best from nature and from synthetic materials. Water is a chemical, we're made up of chemicals. So the word chemical free is nonsense, really. So then it's just a case of, do we want our chemicals to be synthetic or come from nature? And my personal experience is actually you want the best of both, you want whatever works. Nature has had thousands and thousands of years to evolve, and there are really interesting ingredients that come from plants that live in extreme conditions, and because they live in extreme conditions they grow certain compounds that we might not know how to make in the lab yet. Synthetic ingredients that are made in the lab are a much higher purity. We know exactly how we've made it, what's in it.
You have more control over
Exactly,
them.
so there's more control, and
Yes.
so in that case that might be better. So it's really, I wouldn't want us to limit what ingredients we can use based on fear when there are so many good ingredients out there. I brought in an example of an ingredients list that I wanted to show you. If you saw that, what would you think it is?
I wouldn't have a clue, but for the amount of E numbers, paraben, I don't know, it's not something I would like to go close to.
But this is actually the chemicals
my
inside the
favourite
blueberry. Yeah.
It's like lemon! This is scary.
I think it's a really good example of how
Please.
something can look quite scary, but actually it's a really everyday item that people eat.
This is what reality is.
Yeah.
Lorna, thank you so much for coming to Neville today.
Thank you.
Thank you.